You've probably heard the saying, you can't choose who you fall in love with. But let's be honest, that's total BS. There are women out there who can derail your life faster than a train off its tracks. And if you're not careful, one of them might just leave you broken and confused. Today, I'm going to break down the types of women you should avoid at all costs, no matter how tempting they may seem. Trust me, stick around, and you'll thank me later when you dodge some serious heartbreak. Let's get into it. The manipulative nice girl. At first glance, she seems like the perfect partner, the kind of woman who checks all the boxes. She's sweet, caring, thoughtful, and always knows exactly what to say. She supports you when you're down and cheers you on when you're up, making you feel like the luckiest person alive. She's the kind of girl that everyone thinks is too good to be true, and for a while, you might even believe it. But here's the catch. What appears to be genuine kindness is often a carefully crafted performance. She knows how to make you feel special, but it's not out of love, it's out of control. Over time, you'll start noticing subtle shifts in the way she interacts with you. She never raises her voice, never overtly criticizes you, and certainly never seems aggressive until you begin to catch on. Her manipulation is insidious. It doesn't come in the form of blatant attacks or demands. Instead, it sneaks in quietly, hidden in soft words and gentle gestures until it becomes a pattern you can no longer ignore. The first clue might be when she starts using guilt as a weapon. Pay attention to the phrases she uses, like, "I guess I just care too much," or "I can't believe you do that after everything I've done for you." These aren't innocent expressions of concern. They're calculated moves designed to make you feel bad, forcing you to doubt yourself and, in turn, bend to her will. It's a technique that works like a charm, especially if you're the kind of person who values empathy. The guilt trip leaves you questioning your decisions and actions, making it harder to assert your own needs. Then there are the backhanded compliments. She might say something like, "Wow, you look great today. I was starting to think you didn't care about your appearance anymore." This might seem like a compliment, but in reality, it's a subtle dig meant to make you feel insecure and question your choices. It's all part of her strategy to lower your self-esteem so she can swoop in as your emotional savior whenever you feel off balance. And then, when an argument arises, she'll shift into the role of the victim. No matter the situation, the script is the same. You'll end up being the villain, even if you did nothing wrong. Maybe you forgot to call her when you said you would, or you didn't say the exact words she wanted to hear. Suddenly, she's in tears, and you're scrambling to apologize for things you didn't even know were issues. It's a classic manipulation tactic, flipping the script so that she's the innocent party, and you're left picking up the pieces, all while her sense of control tightens. But the manipulation doesn't stop there. Over time, her behavior escalates. She'll slowly begin to make you feel like you're not enough, despite all your efforts. Her support will start to feel conditional, and her love will feel like something you have to earn. The relationship will become more about meeting her needs than having your own needs fulfilled. You'll find yourself constantly striving to live up to her impossible expectations, even when they're unreasonable. She'll make you feel like you're the one who's always falling short, always failing her, even when you're giving everything you've got. What makes this type of woman so dangerous is that she wears the mask of the ideal partner, using your love for her to control and manipulate you. You're emotionally drained, but you can't pinpoint exactly why. You keep telling yourself things will get better, that it's just a phase, that she really does love you. But deep down, you know it's not about love anymore. It's about power. So how do you spot her early on before she can get her hooks in too deep? Start by paying attention to the little things. Notice when she uses guilt to control your actions, when her compliments don't feel as genuine as they seem, and when she shifts the blame onto you during conflicts. It might be hard at first because she's so adept at hiding her true intentions, but once you see the pattern, you'll understand that this kind of manipulation isn't love, it's control. The serial social climber. At first, she seems polished, charming, and capable of making you feel like the most important person in the world. She'll compliment you relentlessly, making you feel special, unique, and valued. At least that's how it feels in the beginning. Her ability to make you feel like the center of her universe is one of the most alluring aspects of her personality. But there's something unsettling beneath the surface that you can't quite put your finger on. Over time, you begin to realize that her interest in you isn't as pure as it seems. She doesn't care about you, not really. What she cares about is what you can offer her, your status, your connections, your resources. Her relationship with you isn't based on mutual respect, love, or even companionship. It's a calculated move in her larger quest to climb the social ladder. And once she's used up everything she can from you, once you no longer provide her with the opportunities or status she craves, she will discard you without hesitation and move on to the next stepping stone. One of the biggest red flags with a serial social climber is her obsession with status. Early on, you might not notice the pattern, but start paying attention to the kinds of questions she asks you. Does she seem overly interested in your job title, how much money you make, the car you drive, or how many followers you have on social media? If she's constantly fishing for this type of information, it's a sign that her interest in you is motivated by your perceived value rather than who you are as a person. It's not about building a life together. It's about what you bring to her life. Another way to spot this type of woman is by how she interacts with your social circle. Does she seem more interested in meeting your influential friends or networking with people in your circle than she is in actually getting to know you? She might ask you to introduce her to important people in your life, always wanting to be in the right places at the right times, but never offering anything meaningful in return. It's all about her advancement, not about shared growth or support. She won't hesitate to use your connections to fuel her own goals. And once those connections are no longer beneficial, she'll turn her attention elsewhere. Her lifestyle expectations are another huge red flag. This woman may want a life filled with luxury, expensive vacations, fine dining, lavish gifts. But what does she bring to the table? If she expects you to fund her extravagant dreams while contributing nothing meaningful, that's a clear sign she's a social climber. Her entire relationship with you hinges on your ability to give her the lifestyle she craves. She has no intention of contributing equally to the partnership. The only thing she's interested in is maintaining her glamorous image and securing her place in the social hierarchy, regardless of the cost to you. She's incredibly good at hiding her true intentions. At first, she may come across as confident, independent, and fun-loving, someone who inspires you to be your best self. And while it's great to have a partner who pushes you to aim higher, there's a key difference between a partner who genuinely wants to build with you and one who is simply using you to get ahead. A serial social climber has a hidden agenda, and it's not a partnership, it's a transaction. So how do you protect yourself from falling into this trap? The best defense is awareness. Start testing her interest in simpler, less glamorous moments. Take her out to a low-key spot, somewhere without fancy restaurants or luxury experiences, and see how she reacts. Does she enjoy the time spent with you, or is she bored and distant without the shiny distractions? If she only thrives in environments where wealth and status are on display, that's a huge red flag. Another important step is to protect your resources early on. Keep your financial and professional boundaries clear. Don't let her pressure you into spending more than you're comfortable with or into sharing access to your network until you're sure her intentions are genuine. If she's truly interested in you for who you are, she won't care about your job title, your bank balance, or your social circle. She'll care about the relationship you're building together. And lastly, don't be afraid to walk away when you spot the signs. This kind of woman rarely changes. The longer you stay in the relationship, the more you'll be drained emotionally and financially. Her goal isn't love, it's security. And once she's taken what she can from you, she'll move on without a second thought. If you recognize the signs of a serial social climber, don't make excuses for her behavior. Call her out, or, even better, walk away before it's too late. Remember, a relationship should be about mutual respect, love, and shared growth. If she's only interested in what you can do for her, it's not love, it's exploitation. And no matter how charming or polished she may appear, she'll leave you feeling used and discarded once she's gotten what she needs. The perpetual victim. At first glance, she may seem like someone who's been through a lot in life, someone who's had her share of struggles and bad luck. Perhaps she'll tell you heartbreaking stories of how she's been mistreated or wronged by others. You might feel an immediate pull of empathy, thinking that you can be the person to support her through her endless struggles. She may seem innocent, fragile, and in need of care, and for a while, it will feel good to be the one she turns to for comfort. But there's a darker side to the perpetual victim, and as you get deeper into the relationship, you'll start to see that nothing in her life is ever her fault. The perpetual victim constantly plays the role of the wronged party, no matter the situation. Her exes were all toxic, her boss is unfair, her friends are disloyal, and the universe is always conspiring against her. Every problem she faces is someone else's fault, never hers. She has a never-ending list of reasons why things aren't going well for her, and each one is framed as another opportunity for you to swoop in and save her. The problem is, the perpetual victim doesn't actually want to change. She doesn't want to confront her own shortcomings or work on bettering her situation. What she craves is sympathy, attention, and reassurance, and she will continue to feed you this never-ending cycle of victimhood until it drains you dry. One of the clearest signs of this type of woman is her pattern of blaming others for everything that goes wrong in her life. Every breakup she's had, the other person was the villain. Every failure at work, someone else's fault. Every fight with a friend or family member, it's always the other person's problem, never hers. There's always an excuse or a scapegoat, but never an ounce of self-reflection. The worst part is, when you try to gently ask her to look at her role in a problem, she'll resist. She'll either deflect, deny, or even become hostile, because acknowledging her own mistakes would disrupt the comforting narrative that the world is always out to get her. This behavior is incredibly manipulative because it keeps you in a state of emotional dependence. You feel as though it's your job to fix her problems, to help her get out of the cycle of misfortune. But what happens over time is that you end up enabling her victimhood. Instead of taking responsibility for her life and working towards real change, she continues to lean on you for validation and sympathy, keeping you in an endless loop of emotional support without ever truly progressing. There are a few signs to look for to identify the perpetual victim early on. One of the most telling signs is how she talks about her past relationships. If every single ex is a villain, if there's never any nuance or accountability, only tales of betrayal, dishonesty, or abuse, you're likely dealing with someone who is not capable of self-reflection. She will present herself as the martyr in every breakup, never once considering that there might be patterns in her own behavior that contributed to the dissolution of the relationship. Another key red flag is her refusal to take responsibility for anything. Whether it's a missed deadline at work, a falling out with a friend, or an argument with you, it's always someone else's fault. If she's late for a date, it's because traffic was terrible. If she snaps at you, it's because she's had a bad day or is under so much pressure at work. There's always an excuse. But no matter how much you try to help her, she never changes her behavior. She'll continue to shift the blame elsewhere and lean on you to clean up the mess. Her life may seem like an endless parade of misfortunes, and while it's natural to feel compassion for someone facing hardships, the perpetual victim struggles are always exaggerated or conveniently timed. The moment she needs your attention or sympathy, a new crisis will arise. It might be a small issue that's blown out of proportion or something that can't be fixed by a simple solution. Her problems are complex, and while that might make you feel needed, it also traps you in her cycle. You end up feeling like you're always fixing things, but none of the changes are lasting because she never takes ownership of her actions or seeks personal growth. This can quickly become emotionally draining. At first, helping her may feel like a noble act, but over time, you'll begin to notice that her problems never seem to get resolved. She's always in a state of crisis, but even when the storm passes, she quickly finds new challenges to face. And each time, she'll expect you to step in and save her. Eventually, you'll realize that you're not her partner. You're her emotional caretaker, there to prop her up when she can't stand on her own. So, How do you handle the perpetual victim? The first step is to recognize the signs early. If you notice that she's constantly blaming others and refusing to take responsibility for her actions, this is a major red flag. If she's never acknowledging her own role in any conflict or problem, it's a sign that she's not interested in change, just in staying in her victimhood. The second step is to set clear boundaries. Don't enable her behavior by constantly swooping in to solve her problems or offering endless sympathy. It's okay to be supportive, but it's not your job to fix everything for her. Encourage her to take ownership of her life and the choices she makes. Help her recognize that she has the power to change her circumstances, but don't allow her to use you as an emotional crutch. Finally, if you've tried to set boundaries and she continues to play the victim, it's important to consider walking away. The perpetual victim will resist any attempt to shift her narrative, and the longer you stay, the more you'll feel emotionally drained. If she's not willing to take responsibility for her own life and growth, then you need to prioritize your own well-being and walk away from the relationship. The deluded narcissistic charmer is a toxic personality type that combines the inflated self-importance of a narcissist with a deceptive charm that can initially be difficult to spot. They are the type of individual who can easily win people over with their charm, wit, and seemingly magnetic personality. But behind this allure lies a deeply narcissistic and self-centered individual who is disconnected from reality and thrives on admiration and validation. On the surface, the deluded narcissistic charmer often appears as the life of the party or the person everyone wants to be around. They know how to flatter others, draw attention to themselves, and create an image of success, confidence, and likability. They excel in social situations and can make you feel special or valued with their flattering words and attention. But this is just a facade, a carefully crafted image that they use to manipulate others into meeting their needs for adoration and attention. At their core, the deluded narcissistic charmer has a grandiose sense of self-importance. They believe they are superior to others, deserving of admiration, and entitled to special treatment. They are often deeply insecure, but mask this insecurity by inflating their ego and creating a persona that demands respect. Their self-worth is heavily dependent on external validation. They constantly seek out praise, admiration, and approval from others to feel validated and secure in their identity. However, what sets the deluded narcissistic charmer apart from other narcissists is their delusion. They often hold unrealistic and exaggerated views of their own abilities, accomplishments, and potential. Their sense of self-importance goes beyond what is grounded in reality, and they may believe that they are destined for greatness, that the world should revolve around them, or that they are inherently special and superior to others. This delusion of grandeur is not just limited to their self-image, but extends to their sense of entitlement. They expect others to cater to their needs and desires without question, and believe that they deserve success, admiration, or material rewards simply because they exist. Because of this delusion, the deluded narcissistic charmer tends to overestimate their own abilities and underestimate the contributions or importance of others. They may take credit for successes they didn't achieve, exaggerate their achievements, or make unrealistic claims about their talents. They are often quick to dismiss or belittle the accomplishments of others, seeing anyone who isn't in their inner circle as inferior or unworthy of attention. If they ever face criticism or failure, they are likely to react defensively, blaming others or making excuses for their shortcomings, as their inflated sense of self cannot tolerate the idea that they may not be perfect. One of the most dangerous aspects of the deluded, narcissistic charmer is their ability to manipulate others. While their charm may initially seem genuine, it is often used as a tool to gain something, whether it's attention, admiration, validation, or even material rewards. They may use their charm to seduce or influence people, drawing others in with flattering words and gestures, only to later exploit those relationships for their own benefit. They are adept at making others feel special and valued, but only to further their own agenda. Their manipulation often includes making people feel guilty or responsible for their happiness. If the deluded, narcissistic charmer feels that their needs or desires are not being met, They may guilt trip, shame, or pressure others into compliance. They use emotional manipulation to get what they want, knowing that their charm and charisma can convince others to overlook their flaws or selfishness. This charm is often so potent that it can blind people to the manipulative behavior they may be experiencing, making it difficult for victims to see through the narcissist's tactics until it's too late. Despite their outward charm, the deluded narcissistic charmer is emotionally shallow. They often lack the ability to form genuine, deep connections with others because their relationships are primarily self-serving. They view people as tools to boost their image, fill their emotional needs, or support their inflated sense of self. In some cases, they may even have a string of past relationships or friendships that have been destroyed once their true nature is revealed. The emotional connections they form are typically surface level, driven by their need for admiration and validation, rather than authentic connection. This type of narcissist also thrives on competition and comparison. They often measure their worth against others, seeking out situations where they can come out on top or feel superior. If they perceive someone else as a threat or competitor for attention, admiration, or success, they may engage in subtle undermining, passive-aggressive behavior, or outright sabotage. Their need for superiority over others often leads them to foster feelings of envy, resentment, or jealousy in their relationships. They are not interested in collaboration or mutual support, but in outshining others and maintaining their status as the center of attention. The deluded, narcissistic charmer often lives in a fantasy world of their own making, where they are the hero, the center of the universe, and the one who deserves all the accolades and rewards. They often engage in self-promotion and exaggeration, crafting a narrative of success, importance, and greatness that is disconnected from reality. They believe that they are destined for greatness, regardless of their actual skills, achievements, or contributions, and they are often blind to their own flaws and limitations. How to deal with the deluded, narcissistic charmer. 1. Set clear boundaries. The deluded, narcissistic charmer will often try to push boundaries to get what they want. It's important to establish and maintain clear boundaries to protect yourself from being manipulated or exploited. Be firm in asserting your needs and ensure that your boundaries are respected. 2. Don't fall for the charm. While their charisma can be captivating, remember that it's often just a tool for manipulation. Don't be swayed by their compliments or flattery. Instead, evaluate their actions and behavior over time. Pay attention to whether their words match their actions, as this can reveal their true intentions. 3. Don't give in to guilt or manipulation. The deluded narcissistic charmer is skilled at making others feel guilty or responsible for their happiness. If they attempt to manipulate you emotionally, recognize it for what it is. Stand firm in your decision-making and don't let them use your empathy or compassion against you. 4. Avoid engaging in competition. If the deluded narcissistic charmer tries to compete with you or belittle your achievements, avoid engaging in a battle for superiority. Instead, maintain your confidence in your own worth and accomplishments without getting drawn into their game of comparison. 5. Stay grounded in reality. The narcissist's delusions of grandeur can be contagious, but it's important to remain grounded in reality. Recognize their inflated self-image and resist the temptation to buy into their false narrative. Keep a clear perspective on their behavior and their impact on those around them. Distance yourself if necessary. If you find yourself constantly feeling drained, manipulated, or devalued by the deluded, narcissistic charmer, it may be necessary to distance yourself from the relationship. They thrive on admiration and validation, and so cutting ties may be the best way to break free from their toxic influence. The narcissistic drama queen. At first, the narcissistic drama queen might seem like the life of the party, charming, full of energy, and always the center of attention. She commands the room with her presence, and everyone is drawn to her magnetic personality. Her stories are larger than life, full of extravagant details, and she seems to effortlessly captivate anyone who listens. But as you get to know her better, you begin to realize that her need for attention and admiration knows no bounds. Beneath the glitzy exterior lies a manipulative, self-absorbed individual who thrives on creating chaos and drama to keep the spotlight firmly on her. The narcissistic drama queen is often the star of every story she tells. Whether it's recounting her day, a conversation she had with a friend, or a fight with a colleague, she exaggerates everything to make herself the protagonist, often painting herself as a victim or a hero in situations where neither role fits. Her life, in her eyes, is filled with extraordinary events, triumphs, and tragedies, and she expects others to marvel at her resilience or brilliance. What's worse, if the attention starts to shift away from her, even for a moment, she will do anything to bring it back. One of the primary traits of the narcissistic drama queen is her ability to create and escalate drama in any situation. She thrives on conflict and chaos, and any chance to stir the pot is an opportunity she cannot resist. A simple misunderstanding between two friends? To her, it's a full-blown betrayal. A slight disagreement at work? She'll turn it into an epic showdown where she's the only one who's right and everyone else is wrong. Small issues become massive, emotional spectacles, and she'll manipulate anyone she can to make sure the drama stays front and center in the conversation. What sets the narcissistic drama queen apart from others who might enjoy attention is that her need for it is insatiable. She craves validation, admiration, and recognition to an unhealthy degree. It's never enough for her to receive compliments. She needs to be worshipped, adored, and constantly praised. If you praise her even slightly, she'll inflate the compliment to fit her grandiose self-image. And if you fail to meet her expectations, she'll sulk or lash out to make sure you know she's not happy. No matter how much attention she gets, it will always feel like there's never enough for her. This is because her sense of self-worth is completely dependent on external validation, and when it fades, so does her sense of value. The drama queen's attention-seeking behavior isn't just limited to the people around her. It often extends to social media as well. She posts on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, often sharing only the most dramatic aspects of her life. If she's been through something challenging, she'll craft an elaborate, tear-jerking post about her emotional turmoil. And if she's experiencing a triumph, she'll make sure everyone knows just how incredible and special she is. Everything she posts is designed to elicit attention and feed her insatiable need for admiration. But while the narcissistic drama queen is incredibly skilled at making herself the center of attention, there's a dark side to her personality that emerges when she doesn't get the admiration or focus she demands. She becomes angry, manipulative, and vindictive. She might lash out in hurtful ways, telling exaggerated tales to manipulate others into seeing her as the victim or turning people against those who wronged her. If you fail to give her the attention she craves, you risk becoming the villain in her world, with her spreading rumors or twisting the truth to make sure everyone knows how awful you are. Another key aspect of the narcissistic drama queen is her lack of empathy. She doesn't care about your problems, struggles, or emotions unless they serve to elevate her own sense of importance. While she'll shower you with sympathy when it's convenient for her, especially if it puts her in the role of the compassionate helper, she won't return that same level of emotional investment when you need it. If you try to share your own struggles, she'll either downplay them, ignore them, or somehow turn the conversation back to herself. In her mind, her problems are always bigger, more urgent, and more important than yours. This lack of empathy leads to a selfishness that is deeply toxic in relationships. She's only interested in what she can get from others, whether it's admiration, validation, support, or even material gain. The narcissistic drama queen will take without giving. When you help her through a crisis, it's not out of gratitude. It's just another way to keep you tethered to her emotional needs. And when the roles are reversed, you'll find yourself standing alone, with her busy seeking attention from the next person who can give her what she craves. The narcissistic drama queen's behavior can take a serious toll on your emotional well-being. If you become too involved in her drama, you'll feel emotionally drained, manipulated, and possibly even gaslighted. You'll constantly find yourself in the position of trying to put out her fires, only to see that she starts more fires just to keep the chaos going. Her behavior will lead you to question your own feelings and actions, as she has a knack for making everything about her and twisting situations to make you feel guilty, wrong, or inadequate. How to deal with the narcissistic drama queen. Set firm boundaries. The first step to dealing with a narcissistic drama queen is learning how to set clear and firm boundaries. She will test those boundaries constantly, trying to drag you into her chaos, but it's crucial to stick to your guns. If you engage in her drama, you'll only perpetuate it. Politely but firmly refuse to take part in her emotional manipulation and make it clear that you won't be dragged into unnecessary conflicts. Limit emotional involvement. While it's natural to want to help someone who's struggling, the narcissistic drama queen doesn't need your emotional support. She needs validation. It's important to recognize when you're being manipulated into providing her with endless emotional labor. If she's not reciprocating or respecting your own emotional needs, distance yourself. Don't feed her need for attention. When you give her the attention she craves, you're just encouraging her behavior. You'll need to be intentional about not rewarding her with compliments or sympathy unless they are earned. Be mindful of how much emotional energy you're investing and don't let her dictate the narrative of your relationship. Practice emotional detachment. One of the most effective ways to protect yourself is to emotionally detach. This doesn't mean being cold or cruel. It means recognizing that her drama is not your responsibility. You don't have to internalize her chaos or take it personally. By maintaining emotional distance, you can stop her from having the power to manipulate or overwhelm you. Know when to walk away. Sometimes the only solution is to walk away. If you've tried to set boundaries, limited your involvement, and practiced emotional detachment, and yet her behavior continues to be toxic and draining, it might be time to reconsider the relationship. The narcissistic drama queen's needs will never be fully satisfied, and staying in a relationship with her will only hurt you in the long run. The cold, calculating sociopath. The cold, calculating sociopath is one of the most dangerous types of individuals to encounter. At first glance, they may appear calm, collected, and even charming. However, underneath this composed exterior lies an emotionally detached, manipulative, and ruthless personality that sees others as mere tools to be used for personal gain. This type of person has no conscience, no empathy, and no regard for the feelings or well-being of others. They are driven solely by self-interest and will stop at nothing to achieve their goals, even if it means deceiving, exploiting, or harming others. Unlike other toxic personalities who might act out of emotional impulse or reaction, the cold, calculating sociopath is methodical and strategic in their approach. Every move they make is carefully planned, with one goal in mind: control. They see relationships, interactions, and even entire social structures as opportunities to manipulate, control, and dominate. Their cold, analytical nature allows them to assess situations with a ruthless eye, calculating the best course of action to ensure that they come out on top, no matter the cost. One of the defining characteristics of the cold, calculating sociopath is their ability to completely detach from emotions. While they might be able to mimic certain emotions in order to manipulate others, they themselves do not experience genuine feelings of love, guilt, remorse, or compassion. This emotional detachment allows them to carry out their plans without hesitation, no matter how hurtful or destructive those actions may be. They don't feel guilt for betraying someone, breaking a promise, or lying to get what they want. For them, these actions are simply tools in their arsenal to achieve their desired outcomes. This lack of empathy is what makes the cold, calculating sociopath so dangerous. They are experts at reading people and understanding their weaknesses. They can quickly identify someone's vulnerabilities, whether it's a desire for approval, fear of rejection, or personal insecurities, and exploit those weaknesses to manipulate or control the person. They can be incredibly convincing, using charm and persuasive language to get people to do what they want, often without the victim realizing they are being played. Their manipulation is often subtle and indirect, allowing them to stay under the radar while they work their agendas. They may feign friendship or loyalty, pretending to care about you in order to gain your trust. Once they have established this connection, they will begin to use it to their advantage, pulling strings and subtly pushing you to act in ways that benefit them. Over time, they wear down their targets, eroding their self-confidence and twisting their perception of reality. They excel at gaslighting, making you question your own judgment, memories, and even your sense of self-worth. In addition to their manipulative tactics, the cold, calculating sociopath is often highly competitive and self-serving. They view others as obstacles to be overcome, competitors to be outsmarted, and stepping stones to be used. They are not interested in collaboration, genuine friendships, or mutual respect. Their sole focus is on their own success and advancement. If they need to step on others to achieve their goals, they will do so without hesitation. In their mind, anyone who gets in their way is simply a pawn to be discarded or manipulated. Their relationships are rarely, if ever, authentic. To them, people are not valued for their emotional connection or camaraderie, but as tools to help them achieve their personal objectives. They may seem to form close bonds with others, but these relationships are often shallow, with no real emotional depth. They may even pretend to care for someone, only to later betray them or use them when the time is right. The cold, calculating sociopath is a master of playing people like chess pieces, moving them around the board in ways that serve their own purposes. Another chilling aspect of the cold, calculating sociopath is their ability to remain completely composed under pressure. Unlike other types of toxic individuals who may lash out emotionally when faced with conflict or challenges, the cold, calculating sociopath remains calm and unflappable. They have an uncanny ability to remain level-headed and unaffected by stress, which allows them to make decisions without emotional interference. This ability to stay cool in the face of adversity is one of their most dangerous qualities, as it makes them difficult to predict or challenge. They are also highly skilled in covering their tracks. If they do something unethical or manipulative, they will often go to great lengths to hide the evidence and avoid being caught. They are meticulous in their planning and will carefully erase any trace of their involvement in a situation, leaving others to take the fall if necessary. They thrive in situations where they can operate in the shadows, away from scrutiny or suspicion. The cold, calculating sociopath is also prone to using others as scapegoats when things go wrong. If their plans are exposed or they make a mistake, they will shift the blame onto someone else without hesitation. They will twist the narrative, manipulate others into believing that someone else is responsible, and use their cunning and persuasive skills to avoid any consequences. This lack of accountability is another hallmark of their personality. How to deal with the cold, calculating sociopath. Trust your instincts. One of the most important steps in dealing with a cold, calculating sociopath is learning to trust your gut. They are often highly skilled at presenting a facade of charm and trustworthiness, but if something feels off, it likely is. Listen to your intuition and be cautious in your interactions with them. Recognize the manipulation. The cold, calculating sociopath thrives on manipulating others, and they can be incredibly convincing. It's important to learn how to recognize their tactics, such as gaslighting, guilt tripping, or using others as pawns in their game. Understanding these manipulation techniques can help you avoid being caught in their web of deceit. Set firm boundaries. The sociopath will often try to push your boundaries in order to control you. It's essential to establish clear, non-negotiable boundaries and enforce them consistently. Do not allow them to overstep, guilt trip you, or make you feel responsible for their actions. Don't engage in emotional arguments. The cold, calculating sociopath thrives on emotional manipulation and conflict. If you engage in emotional arguments, they will use that as an opportunity to exploit your vulnerabilities. Stay calm and composed, and avoid getting drawn into arguments that will only serve to escalate the situation. Document everything. If you are dealing with a sociopath in a work environment or any other situation where their actions could have legal or professional consequences, it's essential to keep detailed records of your interactions. Document conversations, emails, or any other exchanges to help protect yourself in case the sociopath tries to twist the narrative or place blame on you. Distance yourself. Ultimately, the best way to deal with a cold, calculating sociopath is to remove yourself from their influence. Cut ties, if possible, and distance yourself from them emotionally and physically. If you must continue interacting with them, for instance, in a work setting, limit your exposure and keep things strictly professional.